39. Oh, hello and welcome to episode 196 of 77 Club. Sorry, I can't concentrate. It's the things that we talk about before we go on air that made me laugh. Anyway, Harry Mansley's here.
Hello, everyone.
Jack Williams.
Good evening.
And Dan Bayliss with a moustache.
Hello, everybody.
Harry, so I think I want to start with Conor Coady. So we will. He has moved on a season-long loan to Everton. He had an interview with TalkSport earlier today. I listened back to that. Just your thoughts to begin with, because we talked a little bit about it last week, and we were saying a loan with an option to buy seems absolutely mad. But just your reaction to begin with.
Well, first of all, I'm shocked that it's happened so quick. When it was all building up in pre-season that we were going to go to a back four, I thought there's a chance he'd go, but I just deep down didn't think he would. I thought he'd still fight for his place, but I'm quite sad. I know I've been critical of his defensive abilities on this podcast over the years, but
once or twice, maybe.
Come on, like he's a top bloke. Everyone knows that. Like everyone loves him around the place. You can see that. Even everyone loved him in England. I think it is the right time, but still, I'm sad because he's brought us some incredible memories over the years. He's showed a great passion. He's probably one of the probably the best captain we've had at Wolves in our generation of supporting. So very sad. Although I do think it's the right move for everybody, but something feels really weird about it at the same time. If that makes sense, it feels like something went on behind the scenes we probably won't hear about. A bit of bad blood somewhere, but they've been kind to Coady, which I guess he deserves after what he's done for us. They didn't get in his way. Everton, he's obviously he's a Liverpool fan, but a lot of his family are Everton fans. So a great move for him, upsetting. And I hope he don't do well because Everton are probably a rival to us this season. But good luck to him because he's a top bloke and he deserves all the high praise he's been getting off Wolves fans the last day or so.
Jack, 7 years, brought in as a midfielder and obviously made that transition to a sweeper and into defence. He's been a mainstay. He's played the most Premier League minutes for Wolves ever. Just your reaction now.
It's been quite a journey for him, hasn't it? Really. Is anyone else getting a bit of an echo? Or is it just me? Just technically.
Just me.
Coady messing with the headphones.
I don't know. It must be my headphones, but I can just hear myself. It's a bit weird. Anyway, Coady. So, yeah, quite a transition, really. We think we got him from Huddersfield. He was played a bit all over the place, wasn't he? Out of position sometimes. He played at fullback once, didn't he? I think
right back at Liverpool away, remember that?
Yeah. So it's a bit of a sort of transition all around, really. But, he's a great servant to the club, isn't it, really? He's really adapted under Nuno. The fact that I can remember when Nuno first named his first team and we were saying, he's going to play Coady in the middle at the back, and it stuck for a few years after that, didn't it, really? Because he's been ever present ever since. And it's a real testament to his work ethic. And he's just obviously just a great character to have around the dressing room. And I'm sad to see him go, but at the same time, I do think it's a good move for him at this time because just watching pre-season, you knew that Bruno wants to go to a back four and his preferred two players are Kilman and Collins in those positions. And that's a transition Wolves fans have been wanting to make. We knew from Bruno's record that he probably wanted to come in and play that last year, but he couldn't because of the players he got and the available personnel being so embedded in playing that sort of back five. And I would love to see Conor Coady make the World Cup squad, to be honest. So,
sorry, Bayliss, club legend. He's one of the best captains, do you think, in the club's history?
I think most successful in
a generation, isn't
years. Yeah. To be perfectly honest, if you take the sentiment out of it, being a great bloke and clearly what he's done in the area and for the club, if you take that away from it, it probably is the right time for him to go. I don't think he was in the manager's plans or stuff. It's sad for us as fans because he clearly was a great person, great influence at the club. I think he came out on the radio, was it today or yesterday, and sort of said it didn't feel right. And, the move seems right for him. So all the best to him, obviously not against us.
He can't play against us, thankfully.
Oh, because he's on loan.
Shame in that.
I mean, the only thing... Shame. I mean, the only thing that's weird is this loan to... Is it an option to buy or is it they have to buy?
Option.
Good old Scott Sellers again, making no money.
Harry,
his name's Sellers and he can't even sell them.
Well, exactly. Harry, in that interview and the interviews that he's done with Everton TV and all of those sort of channels, the word that he uses is proud. He said he's incredibly proud, incredibly lucky. I actually lost count when I was listening to that TalkSport interview how many times that he said proud. Said he loves Wolves, says he could feel something now. I know Dan sort of touched on it. They're 29 years old now, wants to be playing football. Wasn't just about the World Cup. Obviously, that would have been in the back of his mind. He said Lampard was a key reason to doing that. From his playing career more than his managerial one, let's be honest. He didn't like being on the bench against Leeds because he was benched. So he said it was a tough decision. But I think this is really split opinion because we have a lot of good things to say about Conor Coady. But at the first sign of being dropped and having to potentially adapt, he's seek to move away from the club.
No, I think the drop was because it was already done.
But what
given how quickly
does
it happened
that say about his leadership credentials?
Yeah, well, he did also say that he felt it throughout the pre-season, didn't he? So, like Bailey said, it had been building. But I can see people's point. People are saying, like you said, one little bit of adversity where he's got to fight for his place, and he's gone. But I think he also said on TalkSport that he would only have gone to Everton, which I found a bit strange. I don't believe that. I think any club in the Premier League that would have given him interest and said, you're going to be starting for us with the World Cup coming up, he'd have gone there, let's be honest. And we're going to be playing a 4 all year, and he just suits him to go there. It's if we'd have had an injury to Kilman or Collins, he might have even put Bolly or Mascarin ahead of him, which is mad. Probably not, but he might have, and Coady probably thought that too. And it's the right move, but it's just very strange how quick it's happened, him being on the bench at Leeds. And Jeff Shee, I remember going back to his Ask Wolves, the first one they did, and he said about Jota saying he wants him to do well at Liverpool and things like that. He's quite understanding, isn't he, Jeff? You don't seem that ruthless about keeping players. So, I don't know. We might regret it, but it's the right move for everybody. And it just feels weird. And it feels like the send-off. Like Romain Saiss put on Instagram, didn't he? Saying, you deserved a better send-off. And I agree with that. It's like he's gone out the back door a bit, hasn't it? He didn't really get much of a reception at Leeds because he was on the bench. And then he's just gone out the back door, put a little post on Instagram. And I feel like he deserved a lot more after 7 years as captain and taking us from mid-table championship to Europe. So it just feels a bit weird, but it's the right move for everyone.
I'll come back in on that point, but Bayliss, you want to reply to that question I asked Harry?
I think the really weird thing is off the back of the Euros, and there was a bit of hype about him last season. He seemed to be sort of flavour of the month, and there was quite a lot of press about him going, Newcastle and teams like that when they had some cash. It's very strange that if Lage didn't think he was the future, fair enough, we didn't have enough players at the time maybe, but they could have cashed in here. Because he was a sort of slightly in demand and hitting the press a little bit towards the end of last season or just before that. It is a strange one. I just don't get this whole loan thing that Wolves are doing. I completely agree with what Harry says, but it's us doing weird business as well.
Do you think it's Jack because it's because they're pushing through the move so that it happens for him as a sort of a repayment for that 7 years of service and saying, look, we're not going to haggle over it at the moment. We'll push it through as a sort of show of goodwill.
There might be something in that, yeah, definitely. It is still a bit of a weird one though, because you think this is his prime time for us to cash in him, like you say. Really, if anybody was going to offer us even 10 million, I think people would kind of be happy with that. Really, I know he's an England player, so you think you get a premium, but he's not going to be up there with Grealish level, is he? Let's be honest. So. I would have quite happily sort of taken a fee and just made it a permanent, because I can't see a way back in, because Lage has made his intentions clear, not unless, the manager changes, I don't think. And we've all said it that, he's been a great captain for us. He's had a really good season last season, but that's in the middle of a back three. I wouldn't have the same confidence if it was just him and Kilman or him and Collins playing. And I get the point that, if you've been one of the first names on the team sheet in the club for the last 7 years, do you really then just want to go and sit on the bench when there's a World Cup in 3 months' time? Or, you need to be playing, don't you? Otherwise, you're not going to get in the team. So he's made the move for his own career. I'm guessing he did want to go to Everton because obviously, he still lives up there, doesn't he? His family are all up there. And
I think one of his kids plays for Everton as well.
Yeah, so it was the right move all round, really. It would have been nice to, I think, get a little bit of money. But, I do wish him all the best. And it is just weird that it's a loan, because I don't think we'll see him in a Wolves shirt again. Let's be honest. Is it one of those where if he plays so many times, they have to take the option up, or is it just an option at the end of the season? Do we know?
We don't really know, but I've heard rumours that if they stay up, he's definitely going to sign. I think if they got relegated, he'd come back. And I've heard you mentioned 10 million a minute ago, Jack. I heard a figure of 9 million going about would be the fee, which maybe just there weren't enough. But yeah, why haven't they just got money for him if they know he's going to be gone? Why?
He hasn't been speaking like he's coming back.
He's going to come back, yeah. Especially with his post as well. He was a proper goodbye post on Instagram, wasn't it? Yeah. And I don't know, but I think something behind the scenes, he must have got bitter quick because it happened so fast, didn't it? Like he looked a bit unhappy on some of the videos you saw in pre-season. And you've seen the Ruddy, when Ruddy left, he weren't happy. His wife was putting stuff online. You got Sace saying stuff. So it feels like Jeff and that are just, as we said, no room for sentiment. And now they're starting to bloody do it, aren't they? Did you see that picture? Is it only Gibbs White, Neves, and who was the one? Bolly, who were left from the promotion team?
Gibbs White isn't in that picture, is he?
Gibbs White is in the picture.
He is in the picture, yeah.
Oh, is he?
Oh, yeah.
He's bottom right, yeah, he just like tucked away. But 3 left from that promotion team.
Maybe Large has just been ruthless, though.
I think
he's just completely cut the deadwood, and I reckon he's probably said to John Ruddy no, said to Sace, no, mate, we're not renewing, that's that, and probably done a similar thing with Conor Coady. I mean, Conor Coady in pre-season has been playing the games with the kids, let's be honest, hasn't he? It's been him and Bolly, and they're surrounded by a load of fringe/youth team players,
but
really.
Jack,
so you can't blame him.
Nuno's Wolves anymore.
I'm not defending it, I'm just saying I think that's what's happened, really. That's why he's wanted to get out pretty quick, and that's why there's a bit of bad blood there and bad sentiment, because Conor Coady has always been a player, and he said this himself, that even like the League Cup games he wants to play. He wants to play every minute of every match, even if it's like a game that's a nothing game. So to go from that to sitting on the bench in the most important probably couple of months of your career, because he's never going to go to another World Cup, is he, after this one? Because he'll be 30, 33, 34 by the time the next one kicks around. So I think it's very unlikely. If he's ever going to go to the World Cup, it's going to be the one in November. So arguably he's entering the most important few months of his career, and he's facing being dropped for a player from a team who's just got relegated. So you can see it from his point of view. And that's why I don't think anyone really begrudges him, because I'd love to see him go to the World Cup. I'll still wear my shirt with Cody's name on the back for when the World Cup's happening in Qatar. But it's the end of an era, really. But if we want to progress, we've got to look forward. So I'm not particularly that sad about it or surprised about it, given what's happened.
It's what we wanted.
I'm just going to read. I grabbed 4 comments earlier just from Twitter. So one of them from Phil said, "Didn't want to fight for his place or back himself to be good enough in a 4. Poor from a captain that I want determination to get back in. Can't knock him for the past 5 years, but the past 5 weeks let him down a bit. Good luck to him, but the badge on the front is what I follow." Kev said, "A club notoriously slow in transfer loans out. Long-standing captain and international to a rival straight away. No communication from the board. Obviously stinks a bit." Dan said, "There we have it. First moment of being benched and wanted out. Can't be too sentimental with people like Coady because his loyalty to the club was dispensable as soon as the opportunity arose." And Luke says, "I'm torn on this. I understood the point of it being the first sign of competition. He's walked, but genuinely think it made sense for Conor to go. We have a lot of talent at centre back. We can't have the club captain barking orders from the bench. Plus Captain Ruben."
Yeah, I disagree. I think he was told. Look, you're not in the plans. We'll get you a way out. It doesn't seem like he hasn't fought for his place. He doesn't seem like the sort of bloke that would do that. I think he's clearly been told, look, we'll move you on when we can get something. After what we've seen, it's been a long time. He's not the bloke that's going to sulk and sit on the, and have his arse in his hands. Doesn't sit right.
Do you think he'll go to the World Cup?
Yeah, I think he will. Like someone just put in the comments about Southgate. I think I said it last week. Southgate does have his favourites, doesn't he? Yes, if he'd just sat on our bench and not played a game, maybe not. But if he'd have got him through an injury or if he's in and out, I still think he'd have gone. I do.
Do you think it'd be interesting if it would be quite funny? Not funny. I can't really think of the right word. But if Kilman got the call up, but I mean, because England didn't pick Conor Coady when they played a 5. So what?
But hasn't he got one of those senior roles, which is a big thing? He's one of the 3 seniors, wasn't he, at the Euros, like the people go to? Yeah. Although he weren't playing, he's obviously, and was it one of the coaches who pointed out that he was literally such a vital part of that tournament? Yeah, so that's why I think he'd still go, even if he weren't playing much.
How much of a miss in the dressing room do you think he'll be, Jack? And how much of that will be Everton's game?
This is probably the problem, actually, because when you're looking and thinking about the overhaul of the squad, I think we probably lost two quite good characters in Coady and Ruddy, because I think
Yeah.
both people called them out. Because obviously John Ruddy's very, very experienced. You've seen him speak up quite a lot in, like, you know, when Wolves put videos of stuff on YouTube and they're all sat down having a, you know, a training session or in the classroom sort of thing. You've seen John Ruddy pipe up quite a lot and be quite defensive and stuff, and, you know, defend his teammates. So those sorts of two big presences really that I think we will miss, actually, and that's something we need to be careful of, because just not seen Collins play much. Kilman isn't the loudest centre back. I don't think he's not a big shouter, is he really? So people need to step up really, and you need to look at the players who've been here a long time, and I'm sure like the likes of Martinho, you know, already do, and Neves. But yeah, there's going to have to be make way for the more experienced players, really.
Jack,
and
I do have to say one thing on that, right? I get the whole team spirit. Played team sport, and I think characters and having a together team is really important. Totally agree with you on that. But at the end of the day, the end of last season, we were shit.
Yes,
Absolutely terrible.
Yes, you was.
Well, we were. We were sat here every week moaning about it. Moving on the players that you don't think are good enough and bringing in replacements that you think are is the right way to do it.
That's very true. The problem at the moment is we've shipped out a lot of players we didn't think were good enough, and have signed two players.
Two defenders out.
Still...
Two defenders out, one
game.
in.
We got absolutely smashed for the last 10 games of the season or something. And now we're trying to fix it by bringing in what we think are better players. Might not work, but the manager's got to have his choice to go and pick the players he wants. You can't go, oh, he's a good lad, got to keep him here. It's a results-based game. And on form, we would have been absolutely stink rock bottom towards the end of last season. So
I feel sorry for Liam Keane at the Express and Star and the Athletic Reporter. They got no one to talk to now, have they? In the interviews, Coady was the one always after games, wasn't he?
Yes. Yeah.
there's a little factor.
Right. Let's talk about. Well, the king is dead. Long live the king. Let's talk about Leeds. Coady obviously on the bench. Let's just go through that starting lineup. I don't think we were too far off it actually. Last week, Sarr obviously in goal, Johnny at right back, Collins, Kilman, Aït-Nouri, then Duncan, Neves, Podence, Gibbs, White, Neto, hang up front. Harry, perfect start, wasn't it? Really brilliant team goal, great ball from Neves, and a great finish from Podence. I think he did his best to try and miss it, but you know, bounced off the floor and went in. Sometimes you need the rub of the green.
Yeah, just before we get to that goal, the team, because we got wind on the way up to Leeds, didn't we? That Martinho was injured. So obviously Cody's gone now, but then I thought he'd bring Coady in and go five at the back. So I was quite surprised when he started Hwang and played like the 4-2-3-1. But yeah, we started off brilliantly. Like we had with all those players on, you're going to expect us to have a lot of the ball and create chances. And perfect start, great ball from Neves. My God, like out to Neto, and then Hwang of all people with an assist as well, which was a bit of a surprise and a bit of a dink off the bar, wasn't it? Like a little volley, and we all went mental. But I thought we started off really well, and we looked quite fluid. But I'm sure we'll get onto it. We were kind of the masters of our own downfall with the mistakes we made at the other end of the pitch. But there were some promising signs there going forward in parts of the game, definitely.
Come to you on that one, Dan. What was Aït-Nouri doing?
To be perfectly honest, my response to the game is Wolves are toothless. We played really good football. Neves was absolutely superb. I thought Hwang had a good game. I thought Aït-Nouri had a good game. At the time, I thought Gibbs White did, but looking back,
Aït-Nouri,
yeah, honestly,
shocking.
Is it fault for both goals, mate?
Yeah.
No, second goal's Kilman.
That's actually Tomato's fault.
Second one's Kilman. That should have been in row Z. But I thought we actually played good football. They had a couple of chances, Leeds. It was a very good save by Sarr after they'd scored the second. They created very little until they got their second goal. And the first one sort of came out of nowhere. I thought Wolves were the far better team in the game. It's just that there were a couple of mistakes at the back. Aït-Nouri should have probably cleared. Neves gets unlucky that it bounces off a Leeds player. And the first goal is Sarr's fault. You don't let him in at your near fault post like that. But a guy that's made so few mistakes, you probably let him off that one. Second goal, bad positioning. They let him get around the back. Kilman really should have kicked that into row Z, being the first defender. Aït-Nouri's the wrong side of his man. That's that. Goal. But Wolves had so much of the ball, created so many chances, got down either side so well, and broke the line so many times because of the good wing back, that Aït-Nouri's good play and Johnny's good play, that we should have put the game to bed. It should have been 2 or 3-0 before Leeds even had a sniff. And it's because we are absolutely toothless in the box. Hwang, who again said had a decent game, he's still not a striker that's going to score you 10, 15 goals a season. A proper striker would have just been having a heyday against Leeds, and they're in the shit. I said it walking back. They're as bad as us in terms of what's going to happen this season. They are not a very good football team. They aren't.
I, strangely enough, agree with quite a lot of what Dan said, really. There's a couple of things in the game that annoyed me. I thought that after both times Leeds scored, we just put our heads down a bit and didn't really react very well at all. That was evident in the first half. And then the start of the second half, we came out all guns blazing. We were actually taking the mickey out of Leeds. And I thought Leeds looked knackered. We were running them all around, playing some really great football. And then as soon as they went 2-1 up against the run of play, just the heads dropped again. And we didn't have the bench to change the game at all. Like, what's his name? Jesse March, the Leeds manager. He could see that they were getting run ragged, and he looked at his bench and he made changes accordingly. Whereas we just didn't have the luxury. The one thing that really rolled me is, I don't know if anybody noticed it, he was there, but after about 5 or 10 minutes into the second half, Hwang signalled to the bench that he needed to go off. And we thought, okay, we've got to change this now then. But Bruno looks around and he's like, well, he just kept him on for about another 20 odd minutes or so. And we're thinking this is just ridiculous in Premier League football, that if your player's just saying, look, I need to go off now because we've got no backup in the position that he's playing, we're going to basically risk injury and potentially put the squad even smaller. So there's a couple of things. The way we reacted to goals, not happy about. The bench needs a complete overhaul. Responsibility for that needs to go to the board and Jeff Shee, because I know they've started to address it in midweek, but it's just laughable because we can't change a game at the moment with the personnel that we've got available, and that needs to be addressed. Otherwise, we'll be in the same situation as last time. And just the way we've reacted after playing some really good football was a bit disappointing, but just makers of our own downfall, really, because the first goal was just a comedy of errors, really. And you sort of let yourself off then. And the second one wasn't much better. Just two totally avoidable goals, really. And we should have got something from that game, because even when we were pushing a little bit towards the end, I think 2-2 would have been a kind of a fair result, I think. But I still think on the edge of play, we played the better stuff. So there's just things to work on, but it wasn't all completely down. But it's a bit disappointing to walk away from that game with nothing.
That first one was proper youthful inexperience as well, wasn't it? Like, Aït-Nouri did the hard thing. He got himself back into position, made the tackle.
He's pissed
about.
You
can't piss about with it. You can't piss about with it there.
Get rid of it there. Right. That's a bit of an experience. Neves, I don't think so much to blame. He did try and whack it, didn't he? But it just so happened it hit one of their players. And just on Sarr, obviously horrendous. But apart from that save you mentioned that he pulled off second half, I believe, he was shaky first half when he was flapping everywhere. Remember that one when he tried to cut it and then he rolled it into his own net? And he had to quickly run and boot it out. So he was a bit shaky on the day, I thought. Sarr. He's
not played much pre-season, has he? No, maybe that's part of it, to be honest, because he's kind of just coming back.
I just want to give a shout out as well. Although he should have, we didn't see it, but I saw it back on the highlights. We went and got a beer. But Dendoncker should have scored right at the end of the first half. Have you seen that back where he tried to Thierry Henry side foot it in, but he got saved. But he had a really good game, I thought. Dendoncker. For the stick he gets, he was good, and Hwang's volley as well. The Gaza-esque volley.
On the other 14 teams in the Premier League, obviously outside the top 6. So Dendoncker 2 tackles, 5 interceptions, not too bad at all. So creating chances as well. Aït-Nouri 3 chances, Podence 3 chances, Hwang and Neves 2 each. So it goes back to what you said, Dan, isn't it? It's the striker who knows where the goal is.
Well, I want to ask a question. Do the 3 of you think we're going to get a striker in before the end of the?
We just got Guedes.
We have to.
No, he's not.
He's more of he's not an out and out striker, is he? I think we will. We've got to surely.
I mean, a big bugger that knows where the goal is.
Did you see who scored for Bournemouth?
No.
Kiefer Moore.
Did he?
Oh, did he?
The 2 a.m. sign.
We were linked with him last year.
Well, weirdly, Andrea Bellotti is available on the free transfer.
That's the guy from Torino.
Yeah, the one that scored against us. It seems like a no-brainer to me.
Is he as good as he was a few years ago?
He said he wanted to stay in Italy. Apparently, so he's going to stay in Italy, but which makes sense.
But that's why it does seem a decent idea.
Yeah,
but so Harry's going for Guedes. I'm going Guedes. I think that's right.
I'm going to stick with Guedes. Probably wrong.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. See who gets the most stick on Twitter. Okay, so was there a standout performance for Wolves, Harry?
Do you know what? I'd just probably say Dendoncker for us on the day, although he missed a sitter. But Oh, and as well, I know Bayliss has mentioned it, but the stats, if you just look back at the stats, I think we had 60-odd% possession, more shots on goal, more shots on target. It's just the same old story of us not putting the ball in the net. I thought as well, I just want to mention Gibbs White.
Mhm.
He weren't amazing, but he weren't crap. And I thought he looked good and he got a really good reception from the away end. But we were mentioning earlier, weren't we? Apparently, his family, I'm assuming it was his dad, I think it was, had a bit of a fight with a Wolves fan. So there's still that bit of animosity towards Gibbs White. And with him, all these rumours of he might be going to Forest for 40 million and we keep turning down bids. Well, I think we've got to just get behind him now, haven't we? And stop all this toxic shit in the fan base towards him.
I mean,
He's
40
staying,
million, though. Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
I know.
I mean, 30 million is to me, it's crazy. That's crazy money. That's not far off what Liverpool pay for Jota.
Mm.
You know,
I think there's a bit of a English tax plus age tax being added onto that, isn't there? Like value
Potentially,
in 4
big
years'
time.
time rather than now, and just a bit of a gamble there. Gibbs White, yeah, I don't think he was stand out or anything. The one thing I will say about him is that he does look like he's trying. He does look like he gets rolled up and really into it. And if he makes a bad pass or someone makes a bad pass to him, you can tell he's quite animated about it. So I do like that about him. As I think I said this the other week, you just need to channel those sort of aggressions in the right way. Otherwise, it will roll people up. At the same time, if there actually is 40 million on the table from Forest, we've got to take it and we buy a striker. I think so.
Yeah, I mean,
I think we've got to mention Neto as well. Actually, that skill went viral, didn't it, on Twitter when he cut down the left and did like a little Maradona, and then obviously the shot went nowhere because it's Wolves. But he was on fire as well. To be fair,
one thing that annoys me is like little bits of skill from games that you lost. Like, so I just think, it looks really good. Like, we lost 2-1, it doesn't matter, does it? And I think Daniel Ponus was sharing stuff on Twitter of like, with the goal celebration. You're thinking, we lost 2-1. It doesn't matter. Scoring a goal doesn't get you a point, does it? So I'm a bit on the fence about that sort of thing. But, yeah, whatever. Anyway, Dendoncker was man of the match, in my opinion. Did really well.
Do you have a clean sweep of Dendonkers?
No, Neves was absolutely unbelievable. Some of the balls he played were world class. Like, absolutely top level.
Perfect. Okay. Right. We'll move on to Fulham at home. First home game of the season. It is a Saturday at 3:00. How exciting! Before it all gets ruined by Sundays and early kickoffs. But that it is what it is. Harry, I watched the Fulham Liverpool game. Mitrovic was brilliant. He was well up for it. He's going to be well up for it again, I imagine. How much of a threat do Fulham pose?
Well, now Cody's gone, you don't have to mark Mitrovic. I think we might have a chance. They were good, weren't they? They were quite impressive, and you're always on a bit of a buzz, aren't you, when you come up? So that's a worry, and I'm worried about this game. I am. I think if we can play at our best and just shore ourselves up at the back a bit, we can beat them. There's no doubt about it. But we said the other week we couldn't even. It got to general sale, didn't it? The tickets. So hopefully it's a full house, which I think it should be, and we've got to win this really, especially with fixtures coming up. And hopefully Collins and Kilman can deal with Mitrovic, but they've got some good players and they're on a high. And it's going to be a very, very tough game. And we've got to win. And I hope we do.
Jack, Fulham have usually been a team that we can take points off in the past. Do you think that's going to happen this time?
I saw enough with the game on Saturday, although the result wasn't what we wanted. I saw enough in the performance to think that we'll get something, yeah. I think there'll be a bit of pressure as well, to be honest, because after slipping up in that first game and with arguably tougher games on paper coming up, going away to Spurs and these sorts of things, I think first home game of the season, we need to get something, and I think we can really. I do actually think we'll get a response here, and hopefully, the new signing will give us a bit of a lift. So yeah, I fancy us, but I think it will be close. But we'll see how it goes, really. But it's nice having a 3:00 kickoff, but it's a shame that all the trains are bloody on strike, isn't it? Because it just makes it harder.
Fulham set up the same as Wolves against Liverpool, 4-2-3-1. So it'd be fairly evenly matched, you'd think, Bayliss. I thought Polina was really good. Obviously, he was potentially going to move to us. He picked Fulham. There you go, Paul, saying exactly the same as me. I thought he was great. Do you think that in the middle of the park it's going to be a good tussle between him and Neves?
Yeah, most likely. It's got 1-0 Polina written all over it, hasn't it? I will say before we go into it, I can't make it up there because of the trains. So if any of you listeners want to sit with the other 3 idiots,
Thank you very much. I mean, there'll be queues of people going for that ticket.
I
Harry,
guarantee we get 0 messages.
Does Guedes get in the side?
Well, you'd assume so, wouldn't you?
Who for?
Like what we just mentioned a minute ago about him. I think he got like 13 goals in all competitions last year for Valencia and 7 assists and was like their main man. I think they're a bit gutted he left, but I think he could play anywhere across the front. And if it's a 4-2-3-1, he could play in any of Neto Penence's or Morgan Gibbs-White's position. But for me, I'd probably just stick him up front, give him a go up there instead of Hwang, or take one of them out. And yeah, you've got to put him in, haven't you? Is it 27 million we've paid for him or something, which it will be eventually? And we need goals, and he got 13 in La Liga, or 11, I think it was in La Liga, and 13 in all competitions. And stick him up there. We need goals. He's a new signing, bit of a fresh face, and let's hope he can hit the ground running. Jack,
he has to start, I think, doesn't he? He probably has to start up front. It's a lot of money to pay, and the fans expect. But it is quite rare that managers won't ease players into it. It's quite rare that they get chucked in at the deep end.
Oh yeah, I was thinking that. I don't think he necessarily will start him. I think the team that played last week was good enough to maybe, particularly the forward players, to probably all keep their places. But I think even if he doesn't start, I reckon it won't be long into the second half before he just does come on. Obviously, depending on how it's going, but he'll definitely feature in some way, I think, because we haven't got any players for a start. We're not Man City, are we?
Yeah. Cheers, Pep. Let's do so, I mean, we're pretty sure that everyone else is probably going to keep their place. That's
yeah, well, they got it, haven't they? Yeah. Unless Chem Campbell impressed when he comes
in his cameo.
Number 77, Chem Campbell as well.
Exactly, yeah. So we need him to come on. Let's do score prediction, Harry.
I had 4-1 against Leeds.
Did you?
Yeah. It was close when it got to 1-1. I was like loving life. Now, on a serious note, I think I'm going to go for another 2-2. I think 2-2. Fulham will give us problems and we'll draw 2-2, yeah.
Jack?
3-2, Wolves.
Jesus.
Bayliss?
1-0.
2 Wolves. 2 Wolves. Okay, I'll go 2-1, obviously. Let's get your latest betting odds and ticket news.
Yeah, all the specials are up this week, so I've got some really random ones. So you can enjoy these.
That's what we like to hear.
I thought Hwang played quite well. So Hwang to have 2 shots on target or more, 6-1. I think that's a decent price.
Yeah.
There's a little request a bet of Wolves to score 3 or more goals, 6+ Wolves corners, and 20+ Fulham booking points.
I was trying to work out this. What are the booking points? I thought it was 10 for a yellow, but that's not the case.
I thought it was 10 for a yellow. I don't really do it.
Sky bet of Rob.
So, cheers.
They owe me money.
Anyway, 16-1. I thought it was a decent price. 2-1. Penence to score first is the boosted odd. It's 80-1.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Value.
And then because I said I thought he played well and he got forward well, 8-0 to score first, 2-0 Wolves. What are you saying?
8-0.
No.
That's not the game, mate.
80-1.
Yeah, I'd go about 80-1.
260-1.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, there's a reason for that.
There's all the losers for this week.
Excellent. Jack, has your ticket news?
I do. So I know Harry mentioned it just then, but the Fulham tickets are on general sale. So the closed shop is not so closed. There's not loads left, to be fair. I don't think you'll be able to notice, but there is still a chance for everybody to get down and support the lads on Saturday if they can.
So not only would people not want to sit next to you three, they also could just buy a ticket wherever they wanted.
Yeah, they could do that, yeah. And actually, there's also tickets left for the Newcastle game, which I know is a Sunday 2:00, which is not the most desirable time, but there's availability left for the first 2 home games of the season here. So, there's your chance. There's your call to arms. Away games. So there's actually still a handful of tickets left for the Spurs away game. And now I think the reason for that is one, it's the 12:30 kickoff. It's got quite far down on the points, yeah. And it's another day where there's trains and the rain's not running. So public transport, I think, is screwing a few people over for both the game on Saturday and the Spurs game, really. So, it's a bit of a pain, isn't it, really? And in addition to that, we've got ticket information for the next 2 away games. The first one being away at Bournemouth, which is a Wednesday night. Nice trip, that.
That's on
Wednesday,
Prime,
31st of August. 7:30 kickoff, so yeah, probably is on Prime if it's a 7:30. really big allocation that, because we know Bournemouth's ground is massive. Allocation of 1,318. Basically, that's probably going to go to the gold and silver away season ticket holders, and that's it. And they're on sale to the gold season ticket holders as of this coming Friday, the 12th. And the away game after that is Liverpool away, which is Saturday, the 10th of September, 3 o'clock kickoff. Allocation of just under 3,000 for that. Gold away season tickets as of Friday, silver away season tickets as of Monday, the 22nd. And then on the points and the ballot winners, starting with 1,210 as of Wednesday, the 24th of August. There you go.
Lovely. Nicely done.
Did you see that? Obviously, we're doing this before the draw for the Carabao Cup tonight. We're number 21.
It is
so
between
interesting to see what we
9:30
get.
and 10 o'clock. Yeah.
And just on tickets, I couldn't believe how many were going for Leeds Saturday. Obviously, I went up and took a gamble and brought one off. Oh, I shouldn't say this online, should I?
Bad.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that it feels like if you really want to get to an away game and you feel like risking it, you can just drive there, can't you, and check social media, and you'll probably get one these days.
I always think there's always a few knocking about on the day. So there's always people, because people drop out, people are ill, people are hungover and can't be asked to get up. There's always something that happens. So
You never do that.
I've had a few on the day before as well, particularly for the London games, but I've thought I'm not going to go, and then I think, I fancy it on the day now. And I've managed to get so
I was panicking because my ticket was black and yours was yellow, wasn't it? On the day.
I think that was just like the upper and lower tier when it or something.
And then I turned up in my seat, plonked myself down. Who stood right in front of me? Dazzling Dave.
Oh, wow. There you
Right,
go.
Dave.
YouTube royalty.
Just on Dazzling Dave, actually, I thought I'd just seen it before we come on. He did a video with all the Wolves fans thanking Coady, and Coady DM'd him saying cheers. Thought that was a nice
Cheers,
touch.
Lara.
On
Cheers,
Instagram.
Lara.
Nice, isn't it?
He's like, your wife, my wife to share with the video. Nice touch from Coady.
Well,
What was the gentleman?
lovely note to finish on. So I guess there's a ticket going Saturday. If you can get there, then message Dan. I don't think we've got anything else to talk about, have we? I think
No.
there's
been some rumours today, but I think Liam Keane.
Rumours,
Keane. What was his name again? Something. Is it another Traore? We were
Another
linked with?
Traore, yeah.
I just seen it on Twitter actually. Yeah, for Babacar Traore didn't approach apparently, and Ludovic Ajorque. That's not how you say it, by the way, but I just want to go with it.
Is it not?
And Wolves have not gone in for him, but it'd be interesting that Batshuayi. It's gone quiet, that, isn't it?
I think that would be a great signing.
Loans can go quite late, though, can't they? In the window, that's one thing.
Yeah.
I think
Benteke
loan deals on the last day. Really,
Benteke went to DC United.
Did he?
There's still the Korean lad. I think he is as well. That keeps popping up
from
every now and
Bordeaux.
then. But from Bordeaux. But I think we only offered him 3 million.
3 million. That was, when it took $1 million plus 2 million in add-ons. So he's like, Jeff, you tight git. They only want him for the South Korean aspect, really, don't they? I think he scored like 12 goals for them. But come on, still cheeky.
Yeah, there's people don't take you seriously.
Oh no, should we just before we go?
Yeah,
Bayliss, look, read this comment. Have a word.
What's it say?
There's been a couple of positive comments about the Tash.
Chaotic Rage says,
People keep commenting about your awful Tash. When's it going? When you're shaving it off?
It's got another couple of weeks in it. I think
you should do it when we sign a striker. When we sign a striker, you can shave it.
Do it when you come to your first home game, so in like March.
December.
Look like Brian Blessed. Perfect. Okay, well, we'll say goodbye for the week. Best of luck and good luck if we're going at the weekend. So it's a goodbye from Harry Mansell.
Just before I go, because we didn't mention at the beginning, please rate us 5 stars on Spotify if you haven't already. Thank you.
Such a whore. Jack Williams.
Bye.
And Dan Bayliss.
Goodbye, everyone.
It's a goodbye from me. Goodbye.
Ta-da.